Join Scotty G Tuesday. He's going to be at My Hearing Center noon to 3. My Hearing Center, 8941 South, 700 East in Sandy.
Huh? My Hearing Center. Get it?
I got it. DJ, PK, KG, Kevin Graham. Good morning, Kevin.
Hello. I can barely hear as well. I think it's a radio thing, by the way. You know, you wear headphones, earplugs, or earpieces, your whole life. So my left ear is about dead. So I'm heading out there. I'll fly in. All right. So.
All right. Have you made the trip? You've been to Costco. You stocked up on the chips and on the dip. You prepared yourself for a massive pregame show, and then the last 3 hours of football for a few months.
No, but I will be watching football for the last 3 months. Yeah. No, I got not diagnosed per se, but my blood pressure is really high, is what a doctor told me last week, which is a new thing. So I've decided that with all the snow here in lovely Charlotte, North Carolina, where I currently reside, I'm driving 4 hours south to go to Hilton Head, which is a little island, and I'm going to do what everybody does to lower blood pressure, and that's play golf for 4 days. So I'm really looking forward to that because, golf will totally, just because I'm so great at it, it will relax me. So, yeah. But no, I will be ready and willing and watching the game. I'm very excited. I'm bittersweet, actually, because, the season's coming to an end. That means I'm not going to be a regular on Fridays with you guys anymore. So I'm a little sad in that regard, but I'm hopeful for a good game. So that's all we can hope for. And I'm very excited in seeing Bugs Bunny's halftime show because that's going to be a lot of fun as well. The Looney Tunes, that's when cartoons were like at the top, you know what I mean? Like Bugs and Elmer Fudd and Gen Zers, look that up. That's when cartoons were at the top. So I'm very excited for the Bugs Bunny halftime show.
I get their new cartoons, but I can't believe that stuff is more available somewhere in the 5 billion channel universe, and with everything streaming, the fact that there's a generation growing up without hearing Wascally Wabbit drives me nuts.
I know, man. Elmer Fudd and Sylvester and Tweety and Coyote and chasing down the Roadrunner. And of course, and you're not going to find a couple of them because, there's a couple that probably should have been canceled, like Speedy Gonzalez and Pepe Le Pew. So, yeah, those two you probably don't want to search out. But all the other ones were pretty fun.
I'm wondering if you have an internal conflict because obviously you took a shot at my guy Bad Bunny, and you are a big Kid Rock fan, and I know that you're extreme left, but the alternative to Bad Bunny is Kid Rock is putting on. I don't know exactly where it's going to be on, but he's doing a halftime show. So how do you reconcile that?
Well, I hate politics, and so I take the politics out. I am annoyed the fact that it's so political. Where we got Bad Bunny, gonna do his show and everything on the left side, and then Kid Rock is a right side, and he's going to be on Turning Point USA, I think, is where I saw. But no, I'll have one on the TV, which I'll probably have Bad Bunny, and then I'll have Kid Rock on the phone too. And I just like the music, at least Kid Rock's music. I only had 2 years of Spanish, so I'm not really sure how much I'm going to actually recognize of Bad Bunny singing. But I remember uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. So if he counts up to 6, I'll know that. All right, I'll be good there. So. I remember my 2 years of high school Spanish.
I got numbers and colors, and after that, I probably have 50 random words, and then I'm done.
Yeah, it's fine. Look, it's great. Whatever. It's entertainment, and I'm all about entertainment. So I do though, and that's the one thing about the Super Bowl that I don't like is I love that it should be a national holiday and we should all have Monday off afterwards, but that's besides the point. It's just so big, and for us diehards, us old schoolers, I do like football. So that's why I really don't do parties like I used to and all that. I want to watch the game, and so my hope is that the game is at least as entertaining as all the craziness around it will be.
The Sam Darnold thing is something that is really fun to look at his career, right? He comes out of San Clemente, which that area down there in Southern California is a powerhouse for putting out quarterbacks. His high school, John Beck's son, is the starting high school quarterback at the same high school that Darnold went to. SC, what was he, the third pick?
Yep,
and
third pick.
It's just flounder. a little bit in Minnesota, and then they let him go. Obviously, they got the other kid from Michigan. And then we know to Seattle. Then Seattle was a 10-win team, but Geno Smith wasn't viewed as good enough in Seattle's minds. And clearly they make the right decision. How do you explain the Sam Darnold phenomenon? And now he is, I think they're going to win. And if that's the case, then he's going to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And he was thought of as a protege, but then he was thought of as a bum, and now he's back on top. It's almost like in a way, it's a Kurt Warner type story. Kurt's obviously was a little more dramatic, but it's something that I find fascinating.
And I followed it. I mean, I was in Dallas when he got drafted. I was at that draft. I attended the press conference. And as you guys know, and if any long-term listeners know, I'm a huge Jets fan. So here we were drafting out the quarterback. But, the downfall for him is and a lot of it is just what organization is picking you. He was only 20 years old, and he only had played 2 years of college football. So when he goes to the Jets, who immediately needed a quarterback to play right away, at 20 years old in the Big Apple in New York, in an organization that's one of the worst in professional sports in the entire world, it was just not a fit. And he gets thrown in, he struggles, he doesn't get the coaching he needs. And then, Carolina, that was a dumpster fire as well. Finally, San Francisco, I think, is when finally he could settle in. And again, you're talking now he's 24, maybe 25, something like that, maybe 25 probably when he was in San Francisco. Now he goes with a coach that knows how to coach a quarterback. He was a backup, had no pressure. He actually got to learn. And then what's he do? He goes to Minnesota with another good coach that knows quarterbacks, has a good system, has good players around him, plays really well, does have a meltdown in his last two games, one being the last game of the regular season and then the playoffs as well. But then, he goes, Minnesota says, well, we drafted a young quarterback. We're going to keep him. We're going to go with him. And that failed miserably for Minnesota due to injuries with J.J. McCarthy. And now he ends up in Seattle in another great situation where he has playmakers and a system around him. I think being an NFL copycat league, and I don't know if it's going to happen now because pressure now, not only from ownership, a lot of these owners know what the hell they're doing and throw all this money at these teams, coaches trying to save their rear ends, fans because we're so impatient, we want our teams to win. But the end game to me, what we're learning, and if the NFL's smart with the copycat of the way NFL typically works, you've got to be patient with these younger quarterbacks. I mean, Patrick Mahomes didn't play his first year. And I know these days it's harder, but just think of it from a common sense standpoint. You're a terrible team. I mean, we're going to see it with the Raiders when they draft Mendoza, and they're probably going to throw him in right away. And what's going to happen? He's going to suck, and he's going to struggle. And some guys, like a Peyton Manning, the great ones, can survive that. Peyton Manning was terrible in his first year with the Colts. Some of these players can survive that, but other ones can't. And so, and particularly if you're not surrounded by a good team around you. So, in the world where none of us are patient, patience to me is the way to go with younger quarterbacks like this. I mean, look at our days, man. These guys would sit for 3, 4, 5. Steve Young's a Hall of Famer and didn't play for how many years because he was down, he was behind Joe Montana. I mean, the list goes on of guys that sat and learned and got some experience and learned from a veteran quarterback in front of them. And by the way, the team still sucks, so they were able to draft better players. Then if you do like New England, where you get some good free agents to come into play too, and now you're surrounded by a team when it's time for this quarterback to step up and perform. And I'm happy for Sam Darnold. One enemy's bitter. It's like, God, I wish he could do that for the Jets. But the other part of me is like, the Jets suck. They're a train wreck. So he got wronged. And so I love the fact that he's turned it around, and now he's got a chance not only to win the Super Bowl, but, if I was a betting man, which means I'm totally going to lose this bet, but I would say he's the favorite for MVP as well, because if Seattle's going to win, he's obviously going to be an instrumental part of that.
I get the argument that this game is really big for Darnold, right? Because it's the proverbial Steve Young monkey off my back. I can do it. I have done it. I'm holding the Super Bowl trophy. That's a massive story. But isn't it also a massive story for May? A guy at his age getting his first Super Bowl on a team that looks like it has rock-solid ownership. It looks like they've got a rock-solid coach. They got more than $30 million of cap money next year. A chance to repeat, a chance to be a multi-Super Bowl winner, Hall of Famer. I mean, he could really, it's not like he's kicking off his career. He's played in the NFL, but I mean, he could really put some jet fuel in his career and the arc of his career with a win in this game.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I mean, and again, I hate the Patriots as a Jets fan. I despise the fact that they only sucked for 2 years and they're back in a Super Bowl again. But a lot of that credit goes to Drake May and the way he's performed. Now, with that said, he's still young. He's taken 15 sacks in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. There are issues there. I think Turnovers. He has not played that well, quite frankly, in the play. Exactly. And the other thing, too, and I don't want to demean the Patriots because you play what's in front of you. If you look at their schedule, guys, they only played in the regular season 3 teams with a winning record. 3 of their 17 games had winning. And guess what? They were 1-2 in those games. They beat the Bills once, lost to the Bills, and they lost to the Steelers. That's it. So they also got the benefit of a great schedule. Now, they get in the playoffs and win the games they need to play. Again, sometimes it's luck. Well, let's face it, C.J. Stroud's a terrible quarterback. Houston's offense was inept, so they beat them. Then they get Stidham, and they beat them. I mean, the Chargers do what you do, DJ, like the L.A. Chargers. Herbert, I mean, he's a great quarterback, but they had a ton of injuries all year long and probably weren't the legit force of a playoff team as you would expect going in. So they did get a good road to the Super Bowl, and they're there. I think what's going to be interesting to see is how he, being Drake May, and the Patriots in general, just performed being in that light. And same thing with Seattle, too. I talked to some media types I know that were covering the teams, this week, and I actually had 2 different people tell me that the opinion they got of just talking to players and whatnot, and again, who knows whether they're reading it right, is that Seattle seems super focused and dialed in. The Patriots kind of have that big eye look about them, like their eyes are blown up, like, oh my gosh, look what we're in, because obviously they had no expectations to get there, where Seattle at least, had some and thought that they could challenge at least for a division title, where the Patriots were just hoping to get to 500 or a little bit above 500. So I don't know, we'll see how it breaks down. But yeah, I mean, that's what disgusts me. New England is going to be really good because they do have a franchise quarterback. They do have a great coach who just got Coach of the Year honors. They do have really good ownership. They do have cap money, like you just said. They have a system in play. They are a championship franchise, unfortunately, and they're going to be really good going forward. I am going to be curious of how they do next year when they actually play a first-place schedule. But, still, you're right. They have it all laid out. But sometimes, too, that could go against you because he is so young, and he's going to be in this league for many, many years and have opportunities probably going forward to get to a Super Bowl as well and win some.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it with New England. They're just getting started. I don't believe at the pro level anybody plays with house money. I never bought that expression, but I don't think there's an enormous amount of pressure on these guys because if they lose, as long as they don't get beat 48-0, they can look at it and say, wow, we had a really good season and we're just getting started. New coach, young quarterback, blah, blah, blah. And so the expectation with the folks in New England will be, we'll be knocking on the door. You never know if you can get back. So we can go from that standpoint and go forward here with that in mind, which is why I sort of, from the psychological standpoint, not just like the betting favorite, but from the mindset, I think that Seattle is more of the favorite because I think Seattle is expecting to win. I wonder if New England is really expecting to win, if they're just caught up in being there. But at the same token, you've got a veteran coach who's a tough guy and all that. And over there for the Seahawks, it's like this new breed of coach, right? Yeah. A young guy that not a lot of people knew about and the mind and all that. And it seems like, and that's my question, is that what we're going to see now going forward? These guys that maybe didn't play at the highest level, but they come from the analytical, almost to the point of being savants when it comes to the brain capacity to have the knowledge to run a team. Do you think that that's something that if Seattle does win with this great season that they've had, that's the way we'll go and we'll start seeing more of these types of people getting these types of head coaching jobs?
I think that's a great point. I mean, I'm just looking down the list of the 10 coaches that were hired this offseason. I mean, you look at Stefanski, Mike LaFleur of Arizona. Dude, he was run out of town as the offensive coordinator of the Jets after 2 years. And then a couple of years later, he's now a head coach in the NFL. I mean, which is amazing. Jesse Minter, Joe Brady, Munkin from Cleveland, Kubiak. I mean, these are guys that outside of John Harbaugh, who's been there a long time, Jeff Hafley in Miami, Saleh, who was a terrible coach with the Jets and now getting a second chance. I mean, I think you bring up a good point. I think you are going to get a lot of guys because, again, being the copycat league that it is they're going to get guys that not only the analytics, but have the balance, have the old school football in them, but also utilize the analytics to be able to fuel, what players they go after, how they draft, how the organization runs, how they prepare. I think all that is in play, as you go forward.
Our poll question, Kevin, I just put it up. We're about 50 votes in here. Who wins the Super Bowl? Seahawks big. They cover -4.5. That's 2/3 of the voters, 67%. Yep. Seahawks in a squeaker, another 17%. 8% for the Patriots and 8% for anybody who wants to golf. Tee times, baby. Let's go get them. The weather's good. You said you were going to golf. I just checked,
well,
PK.
Not during the Super Bowl.
Well, I just checked. There's if you want to get onto Bonneville, there's 2 slots open at 3:10 and 3:20 or something even Rose Park.
Oh, there you go.
Pretty much booked up. That's usually a course maybe has a little more availability. Nope. People are over the Seahawks and Patriots. They're golfing. Look at our February weather. All right,
yes,
Kevin.
Yes.
We appreciate it as always. You're the man. Thank you.
No problem, guys. I appreciate you too, and Jake as well. You guys have a great Super Bowl Sunday. Always here to talk whenever you need me.
Okay, we'll talk to you, Kevin. All right. Thank you. Kevin Graham, there he is, joined us all season long talking about the National Football League and the Utes and the Cougars. We're joined right now by John from J. Brooks Jewelers. He is here to talk about Valentine's Day, which is 1 week from tomorrow. If you need a gift, jewelry is always a good idea. You can get flowers and chocolate when you're there. And, John, a lot of people, they think gold, silver, diamonds, but you were telling me last hour that there's actually a lot of options now. Rubies, sapphires, you got heirloom jewelry, so you really need to go to the website and check some stuff out, but really get in the store and see the pieces in person and see what you think.
Yeah, and you can take any of these things and create any way you want. The one thing about that has changed over the last decade is that with computer aiding design, all the girls who come in, I would say 7 out of 10 want to custom make what they want for their engagement ring. And so we've created a whole collection called the JBJ collection, where we have a whole collection of one-of-a-kind pieces that are done, that are finished and ready to go. So if you want to surprise her with something, there are some things that are done and ready that are unique, one-of-a-kinds that are done here in the store. If she wants something that she's been seeing online, which is where it all comes from, Pinterest is our biggest helper and foe at the same time, but it be color. So ruby and sapphire, what makes them particularly great is that they're really hard, so they can be worn every day. And they don't scratch very easily, and so they're just a beautiful gemstone. And particularly blue sapphire is such a neutral color; it goes with everything we're wearing. People love jeans, and so it's just a natural tie with that. And so with the Montana sapphire coming on, there's so many great options in color: pinks and greens and lavenders, and these teal is been a very strong color the last few years. So you're not limited to the traditional. My wife wants a solitaire. My girlfriend. There's just so many good options. So when you jump online, you can see a lot of those displayed. And then when you come into the store, you get to touch and hold and feel and see these colors, see if that talks to you. If not, there's never been a better time to buy a diamond. I was telling you in one of the breaks that diamonds are down in some categories 50% or prices from 1985 when I first started. And the lab-grown diamonds are from when they started 11 years ago, they're 90 to 95% cheaper. So if you're in the market, if you're thinking, what do I want to do with gold up? Trust me, with the diamonds down, you're ahead in the game still. And this is a perfect time to do that. So just jump on jbrooksjewelers.com or on our Instagram, kind of see what we're doing, the flavor. And at some stage, bring her, come in, look and see, and we'll have something for you for Valentine's Day. Make it easy for you. Again, we have chocolate. We have a dozen roses, and, of course, we have the jewelry. So the hat trick, the trifecta of what we're doing.
John, J. Brooks Jewelers. Check them out in Murray and Lehigh and online at jbrooksjewelers.com.
Love is in the air, and the Zone is ready to help you become a Valentine's Day MVP. Listen to 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, and online at KSLSports.com for your chance to win 2 Grande Minky Couture blankets. Keep it locked on the KSL Sports Zone and be Valentine's MVP. presented by Minky Couture on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Don't miss your chance to win every week. You can win big on the KSL Sports Zone. This week, you can win tickets to see Brian Regan at the Delta Center on Saturday, February 14th. Get your tickets today at SeatGeek.com or listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day Wednesday for your chance to win. It has been an enormous week for the Utah Jazz. They've lost some games and stayed on track. Did win one. Stayed on track to hold on to the draft pick and also made the trade for Jaren Jackson Jr. So, the rebuild, we're entering a new phase. Say goodbye to 4 years of tanking after they get done tanking the last couple dozen games here. And then get ready for more winning in the fall. How much more winning is an excellent question. How much more winning depends on multiple things. Does Walker Kessler get signed? How much does he cost? How much money they have to go get somebody else? We're joined right now by David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz. David, feels like a big step forward was just taken, and the next question is, what comes next? What's the next step in roster building for the next season?
You can't even just cherish and enjoy a mammoth, monumental step. You got to know what's next already.
Yes, because I know something is next.
Be in the moment, David James. Be there. Feel the moment. Be now. Not always yearning or wanting.
No, now is Lauri Markkanen sitting his butt on the bench and being a good guy, whether he wants to or not, and watching him lose a game. That's now. I can't wait for the next 30 to go. I'm super intrigued by what they're going to do with this team going forward because you're right, there is a lot to cherish in this trade. The possibility, and I know Kessler has to be signed and he's a restricted free agent, and we'll get to that, but the thought of the 3 7-footers, that is a ton of size behind guys who can be pretty good defenders, Ace Bailey, Cody Williams, size and length in a way the Jazz have, and athleticism in a way the Jazz haven't had it before. So who else are they going to have? I want to know. I'm ready. I'm ready to transport myself to next October.
There's a great deal of excitement, and this is super that, yes, this era of, as I said on Locked on Jazz, the witch is dead. We have the witch's obituary written, and it's over, and it ends on April 12th, thank God. And I think we are all very excited for the process to move forward into the next stage. So, this is incredible. I don't know the next stages. I mean, I think this is iteration 1. It's not perfect, but it's a huge step. It's a massive commitment. I don't think they have enough ball handling. I think they're a little short on shooting. I think will be interesting to see what they can do defensively. Like, are they great defensively, or are they incredibly slow in transition? And it's a problem. I just think there's a lot of discovery that has to be made. How much can Will Hardy's system bring? We've created 2 players in the last 4 years who become most improved players in the NBA under Will. Like, does he have something else up his sleeve? Is there a way that he's going to be able to accentuate Jaren Jackson the way he accentuated Lauri Markkanen? Jackson's not the numbers don't have Jaren Jackson as a very good off-ball player, a very good pick-and-roll player. Offensively, he's much more of an isolation driver, or he's actually quite a good spot-up shooter. And so how do you integrate him? I think that's going to be very complicated. I think the offensive side is going to be really complicated and going to take some massaging and some real work from Will. That maybe Jaren Jackson, if Ace Bailey takes a jump, Jaren Jackson's your 4th option offensively. And how's Jaren Jackson feel about that? He's been the number 1 or 2 option kind of a lot of the time in Memphis and taking 20-plus shots a night, and not quite, but scoring 22. And so I think there's a lot of pieces of this that it's all theoretical right now. And then I think what gets tricky, to your point in the off season, is like, are you trying to complement this group in some way without having really ever seen it play together? Right? Because Walker's the key piece, and you're not going to see Walker in this. And so, like, does Austin Ames go to the offseason trying to make moves to even accelerate this a little bit? Or do you actually just go and say, okay, we're going to watch this for 5 months and try to figure out what's working, what's not, and then make some moves? Or there's some real moves you're trying to make? Now, we're pretty limited, by the way. You're paying 2 guys $50. Walker's coming in somewhere between 20 and 30. Keontae seems to be maybe on the pace to coming in somewhere between 30 and 40. That's too much. And you're not – I don't think you're signing guys in the offseason to 2 or 3 year deals unless they're on the minimum. Because you're going to get – next year's going to be fine, but the year after gets super tight. And then Ace Bailey, luckily, doesn't need to be extended till after Jaren Jackson and Lowry's contracts are done, so you'll have to figure that out then.
What is Kessler's bargaining power with the Jazz and throughout the league?
Seems like it got less good. Now, it only takes one, right? So you don't need 5 people in there. I think this is if you're Walker. You just need one other suitor, and then you have bargaining power. So in that sense, it's very advantageous. All he needs is one person. However, it does feel like Indiana and Washington were 2 of the most talked about spots. They just both kind of made their moves. Washington doing the Anthony Davis and Alex Sarr. I'm sure they're not interested. Indiana went and got Zubac, who, I would have to assume, and I read from Chris Haynes, we were involved in those deals. I don't know that we would have taken that deal, but I also don't think that Indiana's doing a deal with Walker unless they know what his number is. I don't know how that works. I don't know how Indiana. I don't know what is allowed back channel on that, and what conversations. But if you're Indiana, you're not trading for Walker Kessler and then finding out, he wants $35 million. Crap, we give him 2 first-round draft picks, and so you're going to know. You're going to know what it is that he wants and so I don't know if they found that out and that number was too big. And so they went and took Zubac at 18, 19 or 20, which is what Zubac is. He's 18, 19, 20, great contract, or whether it just actually never materialized. But if in fact Chris Haynes is right that we were in conversations, then I'm certain Indiana was in conversations with Walker. I don't know how it played out, but that's intuitive. So Walker, are the Clippers suddenly a player for Walker? Now that they don't have a center, is Brooklyn going to end up opening up the coffers for Walker? We have not seen a lot of restricted free agent player movement the last year, so I don't think Walker has a huge amount of leverage other than you'd like to get deals done and not have it become totally arduous.
What about the Lakers? I mean, the teams with cap room right now, the Bulls have the most,
Lakers,
but Bulls, Wizards, Lakers, Nets, and Hawks. Maybe the Pistons, maybe.
Okay, Bulls, possible. Wizards, no. Lakers, but once they sign Austin Reeves, don't they lose most of their cap space?
They have $108 million committed next season, right now. So
yeah, I have to look what Austin Reeves' number is. Austin Reeves' number.
So he's at $14 million with a player option for $15. Him saying, "Forget about the option. I want to get paid." I get that.
Right, he's going to get 40.
Okay, so if he goes to 40, then they go to 148. That leaves them a little bit of room, depending on what else they do.
But not how much room? Not $25 million. What's the cap?
They'd have to jettison. They'd have to find some people move Ayton, right? He's making $8 million, so they could create a little more room that way. I think the cap's projected at 166 somewhere in there. So.
Okay.
I mean, to your point, there's teams that can do it. There's a little bit of wiggle room. There's 5 or 6, and some of the teams have filled the gap. And no matter what I say this morning, one deal this summer, and then that team doesn't have gap, and it doesn't have space anymore, and somebody else might open up some space. So,
right. And Walker's really good. He's a 7-footer that protects the rim. But I also don't know that I think. I mean, maybe
his value's less. I mean, that might be the answer. Maybe.
Yeah, it's curious. I'm trying to figure out where he fits in all of it. I would rather have Walker than Daniel Gafford, I think, but then I'd probably rather have Daniel Gafford at whatever his number is than Walker at 25.
Right.
How do you think Markkanen and Jackson will mesh?
I think they should mesh fine because defensively Jackson really helps Lowry. Jackson's got to play the 4. Here's the thing on Walker where he's so important. Jackson really needs to play the 4 defensively.
Yeah.
He's not a good rebounder, and the numbers on Memphis are really different when he plays the 4 than when he plays the 5. And he's one of the 5 best isolation defenders in the league. Like when you go get that 6'11" frame with good decent athleticism and that size and that length, and you try to take him on a switch, like that's a bad scenario for the other team. So this is where Jaren Jackson, like 1 through 4 switching is pretty great. And then as a secondary weak side defender with, someone goes and puts Lowry in space, which teams do. Lowry's not a particularly good isolation defender. In fact, at times he's been ranked one of the worst. Now you drive and Walker or Jackson's going to be in a position where they can come help. That's a pretty mammoth change for the Jazz defensively. Offensively, Jaren Jackson's a really good shooter. Like, he's become that. In the last 2 years, he's 39% on catch and shoots. We always like to have 753s as kind of your number for the most recent 750. His number's at like 500, so you're not totally sure this is real because he was a 33% kind of three-point catch and shoot shooter, but he's been 39% for 2 years now. So, if Lowry's coming off an off-ball screen that we run so very much and they bring in help off Jaren Jackson, I think Lowry finding Jaren Jackson, that's going to give him a lot of looks. He's not a great pick-and-roll big. In fact, he and Walker were like the 2 worst pick-and-roll bigs they were 2 of the 5 worst pick-and-roll bigs in the NBA last year, he and Walker. So, the Jazz are going to have to figure out how to play pick-and-roll for Keontae. But I think I'm not particularly concerned about the offensive match other than how much what you have to do for Jaren to make him feel engaged, right? He doesn't want to become the 4th guy just sitting out there not doing anything. So, does he play some center in the minutes where Lowry's off the floor so that then you're playing post up through him to get him his 5 or 6 or 8, 7 touches a night? Like, that's the only real concern I have on it. I think we lack ball handling, but we don't lack passing. The guys, they're all pretty decent passers. We lack ball handling, though.
I thought the plan would be for him to play backup center because as much as I totally agree with you, yeah, he's miscast if he's the full-time 5. But you're playing against backup centers for a few minutes. Part of the beauty of having 3 7-footers would always be having 2 of them on the floor pretty much at any one time if you want. You should be able to pull that off. Maybe for matchup purposes, well, some nights you don't want it. But when you want it, you should be able to pull it off. So it seemed like there would be a role. And then the other thing is, when you've talked so much about injuries, David, and you have talked so much about don't look at how long a guy is in the league, how many years, look at how many minutes he's played. What about the whole thought that the starters who we see playing big minutes right now maybe should be in the 30 to 33 range, and that opens up more time to move different combinations of guys around?
Yeah, I think, right, we're talking about everything. I think that's a great point that this all can change so dramatically on one, given one night's twisted ankle suddenly changes everything for 2 weeks. But that's where you probably do need to have another center that's half decent, because if Walker goes out for a while, you really don't want to be rolling Jaren Jackson out as your starting center the whole time.
Yeah.
So it gets a little complicated in that sense. I mean, we all want Jock Landale now. I can really get in the weeds with you here. Lowry plays in 3 stints per half. That's how, if you've noticed this, Lowry plays 6 minutes, sits for 3, plays for 6, sits for 3, unless it's the 4th quarter last night, and then plays 6 more. And so I think it's really interesting of what we do in those 2-3 minute gaps, because is that where you just run the offense through Jaren and get him a bunch of touches?
Mm-hmm. We've seen that. So, old school fans know that very well. Why will Antoine Carr take such a small role?
Yeah.
And when he checked in, you knew exactly when he was going to run, and you knew when they were going to throw the ball to him on the post and he was going to shoot. The very first time down the floor, they force-fed him, and it worked.
Yeah.
So it could work again.
I think there's something to that. Jackson's a really good driver. He's a pretty good offensive isolation player. He's an average post-up player. These are all just based on stats. And he's a good shooter. He's not very good on the pick and roll. He's not very good on the off ball. Well, maybe that's fine, because Keontae's going to play pick and roll with Walker, and Lowry's playing the off ball stuff. So he's going to do the other stuff. So it actually may complement really, really well, but it's going to have to be massaged by Will Hardy.
Isaiah Collier's assist to turnover numbers are just staggering, and obviously he's been playing and playing the entire game here of late. How much of all of this is legitimate?
50%.
What is, what isn't?
Well, his tenacity, determination, and fight, there aren't just a lot of, I walked out with him last night. He was a tired young man. So I think that's, tells you a lot about who he is. The fact that he's got this mentality, I think it's great. And I think that's really real. His speed's real. His development and growth is real. That he's, just playing off 2 feet and playing his floater zone shot has gone from 37% to 48%. He's figuring out how to not drive in the lane, jump in the air, be like, oh, crap, what am I going to do, and throw the ball away, which is literally why his turnovers are down. So I think there's a lot of development. I'm not sure I think this is a sustainable way to play basketball. His time of possession last night was obscene. His fourth quarter assist hunting was fun in Indiana, but that's not really an answer. You can go for the fact he doesn't take threes is pretty limiting. That's why I said 50%. I think he deserves a huge amount of credit for a lot of it. And then, we're just playing such stressless basketball right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's just no ramifications to what's going on.
Yeah.
It's even as gorgeous as Nurkic has been and fabulous as he's been, part of me is yeah, this is just right. Nurk's rolling because this is the greatest. This is being at summer camp, right? There's no one's giving you grades. It's fun. The guys get along great. Will's created a super environment, and it's pretty pressure free, and it's catering service for you. It's fully summer camp. It's great.
In this early developmental phase, Dave, I feel like all of us, fans, media, probably inside the club to a large degree too, there's a lot of focus on, okay, what is a guy's superpower? Will directs the discussion that way, right? What does he do well? Let's not focus on what he can't do. Except when you get to pressure basketball games, when you get to the playoffs where you play teams 7 times in 2 weeks, the opposing team is absolutely going to focus on what you can't do. And they're going to make you do what you can't do and see how well you can handle it and how long you can handle that for. So the whole way we've been looking at this is going to have to pivot as they get better. There's no way around it. So that's what makes at least 25% of all of this is not real, just because of that. Because we've been looking at guys developing what can you do. When they get to the playoffs, it's going to be what can't you do.
Right. Last night there were some really great moments with Cody and Isaiah, and those should be really, really important to us because that's what we're doing. Mm-hmm. But there was also Jacques Landell was guarding Cody.
Yeah.
It's
not real. That's not going to happen in the playoffs. Right. Yeah.
Right. And so you can't have that. And
that's why
that's really.
Yeah. That's why I want to look ahead, David. To circle back to where we started, that's why I want to look ahead, because it'll be much more real when we get to next October.
Right. No, I got asked today, what is your over-under on the Jazz win total? And, the Warriors don't look great next year, and the Clippers don't look great next year, and you start to piece this together, and, yeah, let's talk. I think there's a high likelihood the Jazz are, unless I'm forgetting someone, the Jazz are probably picked to be 6th in the West next year to start the year. They're better than the Pelicans, they're better than the Kings, they're better than the Mavericks, they're better than the Grizzlies, they're better than the Blazers, they're better than the Clippers, they're better than the Warriors, they're better than the Suns. So, are they maybe picked 7th in the West to start the year next year?
We'll have to see what everybody does this summer. It's highly speculative right now. David, we got to run, but we appreciate it as always. It has definitely been a big week. You can feel everything pivoting. So what's next? Stay tuned.
This was a monumental time for us because I just want to let you know I just did this entire interview on my Meta glasses.
Oh, did you really?
Uh-huh. They're so great.
Glasses.
They're the sound quality is so good that I actually just did the whole interview on the Meta glasses.
A couple months ago,
and I didn't move around, and I did all the things you like me to do.
All right, thanks, David. We got to run. David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz. PK, I saw those. One of our bosses had a pair a couple months ago, and I got to play with them. That was absolutely mind-blowing. Like, all right. What do I need a phone for? I got my glasses. I mean, that is a huge step forward from when we were kids, and the paper was in the driveway, and the phone was on the wall. Like, okay, just boom, right? You don't really need your phone. You got your glasses. You want to make a call? Here we go. All right, amazing. DJ and PK, if you haven't messed around those, you got to do them. They're awesome. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Whirls around and down. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone is your exclusive home of the Utah Jazz. And we want to send you to the Delta Center to see the Jazz in action. Listen every Tuesday for the Jazz Ticket Tuesday Sounder at 30 past the hour, every hour, all day long. And if you're caller number 12, you'll be on your way to an upcoming game. Buy one, you'll get one free. It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, every Tuesday throughout the NBA season on your radio home for the Utah Jazz. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The Hercules First Federal Union Credit Union. Salt Lake County High School Players of the Week are Jessica Maynard from Mountain Ridge High and Luke West from Bingham High. Maynard had 21 points in a win over Riverton and 23 in a rout of Harriman. West tallied 19 points and 8 boards in a win over Harriman and then tacked on 27 in a win over Copper Hills. The Salt Lake County Players of the Week award proudly presented by Hercules First Federal Credit Union. At Hercules, they're celebrating the everyday victories. Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. DJ, PK, and we are joined by John from J. Brooks Jewelers because Valentine's Day is 1 week from tomorrow. Some people need Valentine's gifts, some for a wife, some for a girlfriend, some for a mom, some for a daughter, maybe even a daughter-in-law, and some people are thinking, all right, I'm ready to take the next big step and pop the question. There are many people coming through your doors for many different reasons with many different needs, John.
Yeah, and Jay Brooks, as we've talked about for years and years, is a full-service jeweler, so we handle all those needs, whether it be from restoring a piece, which there's still some time to do that if we want to restore a piece for Valentine's Day. We have 4 full-time jewelers, so it's time to do a lot of things.
If you haven't had a piece of jewelry cleaned in a long time, it can make a stunning difference.
A stunning difference. Cleaning and inspections are free. You just stop by, we take a look, see what needs to be done. So that's an easy thing to do. If you're on a tight budget and you just want to have it polished and cleaned, that's something that can be done pretty reasonably, you know. So there's lots of good options, whatever the circumstance might be. What I would just remind everybody is that this is a holiday as a guy. You just don't want to mess up. And so whatever it is you want to do it right. So we try to make it easy for you by having flowers and chocolate as part of your purchase. So whatever you purchase, we have a dozen roses for you ready, chocolate for you, and, of course, the jewelry itself. And we have a wonderful selection from price points that really we start beautiful things that start at around $100. And then we go to anywhere you want to go as far as that goes. So if you want to blow our mind, we have some blow your mind gifts that will do a great job. We always tease you can't sell Ferraris if you don't have them. And so we have a few Ferraris around the showroom that'll make it easy for you. But we do everything for everybody. And we want to be that family jeweler where whatever you might need and whenever you might need it, that we're there to take care of you. But this time of year, we have lots of great things in the gift-giving budgets for Valentine's Day. And I just can't think of a better holiday to say to your sweetheart, hey, I love you. I want to do something special for you. So if you didn't do something fun for Christmas, this is a great follow-up, a great time to make up for that and do something for her that she'll remember forever. So go check us out online at jbrooksjewelers.com. Take a minute to follow us on Instagram. You'll be very, very pleased with all the content, keep you fresh. And that's what, with an all-female staff, all the stylists, I'm the only guy working on the sales floor, that just makes it easy. They'll get to know her, get to know you, and help you and make it so easy for you. One of the funnest stories we have is a customer from Park City, and she said to us as we were doing appraisals of all her things, we have been so lucky, she used the word blessed, but so lucky to have met you because you've taken care of everything we ever needed for the last 20 years. And that's what we want to be. We want to be your jeweler. You have a doctor, you have a dentist, you have a CPA, perhaps you have an attorney. We want to be that other professional in your life. We want to be the jeweler that just looks after you. And we make it fun and easy. When you come in, it's a very enjoyable, fun environment.
Find John in his stores, Murray and Lehigh, and online at jbrooksjewelers.com.